got my feeding tube changed 3 times yesterday, only to still have a non-functioning tube. My G outlets are in my pylorus and my duodenum. Don't look if you don't want to see, but this is all the intestinal bile that came out of me in the middle of the night. I am clamped off, by the way. I'm not continually draining my intestines. I know that's incredibly dangerous. I went in for a normal tube change. We were going to upsize from a 16 French to an 18 French because I've been having leaking around my stoma. I got back from IR into the PACU, and I went to drink water and swish out all the contrast and drain it, and my stomach wouldn't drain. Instead, I kept getting blood. The outlets are against my stomach. I did all the tricks of swishing around, bending over, drinking more water, nothing. Had the doctor come back and she put a guide wire in my G. We tried pressing, we deflated the balloon, we partially inflated the balloon. I tried all the different positions. We couldn't get shit to work. It would flush though. I could get air and water through the tube, but couldn't get anything back out. So I went back into IR. We took the tube all the way out, made sure it worked properly, put it all the way back in. Same problem. I'm literally sterile field, all prepped, have my phone up by my face, FaceTiming Maggie in Virginia. We got another doctor to come and try and troubleshoot. We couldn't get anything to work. My options were to put in a dangler or put a 16 French AMT button back in. I chose dangler because that would defeat the entire purpose of the tube change if I went back to a 16. It was almost 4 p.m. at this point. I'd been there since 9 a.m. I was not there in the head. They also put so much contrast into me during this. They would put contrast through my G, and it would go into my duodenum. We partially deflated the balloon. It's not as full as it should be. It was still going into my duodenum, but also some backflowing into my stomach. They were like, okay, good. They injected air and then were able to aspirate the air back out. So they're like, okay, it's working. I was traumatized and exhausted by this point. I was like, okay, we're good. Got back to the PACU. Once again, tube not working. G not draining. I dropped one. At this point, we're like, all right, cutting our losses. I'm just gonna go home. We'll come back and figure it out. So I go home with this fuck-ass dangler. My dumbass decided to eat when I got home because I was starving, hadn't eaten anything all day, and it was a really hard day. Then I hooked up to a drain bag when I went to bed. Still couldn't, draw stuff out of my stomach. I was getting some what looked like stomach contents coming out. Looking back, it's probably just the stomach contents that were going into my duodenum. And I woke up to this absurd amount of intestinal bile. I keep getting wisps of blood coming out. I talked to IR. They're going to talk to the doctor and figure out what to do. When you go from a 16 to an 18 French, the balloon size gets longer. The whole balloon is bigger. My stoma is incredibly close to my pylorus. The balloon got longer. That pushed the gastric outlet holes further down on the tube, which are now in my pylorus and my duodenum. Now that I went to an 18, my stoma is even more dilated than it was, so it's likely going to leak even more than it already was when I go back down to a 16. My goal is to go back down to a 16 so I have a functioning tube and have a consult with an IR doctor to figure out what to do. I don't know if I need a resite surgery. I don't know if I need a revision surgery to make the stoma smaller. I would really prefer to have an 18 French because that's an adult size tube and should work better for me. So if I want to have an 18 French tube, I probably need a resite surgery. If anyone's experienced this, let me know because I'm losing my mind. I feel god awful. My insides hurt. I keep peeing out my ass. This is the fuck ass tube I'm stuck with for right now. Okay, goodbye.